What needs to happen to see a freaking 600k pot in a 100-200 game? Let's have a look.
The what? The five?
The bite.
Charles, 3-betting.
No anymore.
And he's got ace-4.
I don't know.
Could we see a cold 4-bet? No, he's going to call, though. Mariano's going to 4-bet, though.
Good fold.
Charles calls.
Good fold.
He's a friend.
Andy may be considering something.
Good call.
He just calls. $27,000 in the pot.
All the crazy action starts with Mariano opening under the gun with king 10 of diamonds to 500 and Charles 3-betting on the button with 7-8 of hearts. Andy just flat calls his suited ace. I would say that's a little questionable, building a flatting range there in the big blind, but it's fine that deep if it's a well thought through range with some traps and so on. I don't like that split too much, but against more passive players to play a wider range, you can absolutely implement something like that. Mariano doesn't want to go 3-way though and decides to put in a 4-bet to 9,000 and both players come along.
Do we get a potential diamond flop? Oh, no! You gotta be kidding me! We've got a straight flush against a nut flush.
And here is where we see the disaster for Andy starting. Interesting is for like someone like Mariano, flopping the absolute super nuts still is how to play them best. So he comes from under the gun. The buttons range obviously contains something like queens, jacks, 10s, 9x, not 9x, like 9-8, 9-10, ace king, ace of diamonds is still around, and Andy can obviously have all those pocket pairs as well. Mariano decides to go for the trap here. I think actually personally I don't like it too much. I think that deep any play there out of position is fine, but you want to build some action there before there is other cards and jacks and queens and nines are not even putting more money in the middle. The ace of diamonds might not put a lot of money in the middle anymore on every paired card and so on. So against those safe calls that you're getting here, I prefer betting, but yeah, gives Charles a shot to go for it, which he decides not to, and we see a check around with a nut flush and the absolute lock straight flush on the flop. Let's see what the action brings on the turn.
Mariano in a 4-bet pot has flopped a straight flush, and Andy with the ace high flush. $27,000 in the pot. It checked through on the flop. Mariano started this hand with about $300,000. Mariano bets $8,000 and just got raised. Imagine having a straight flush and getting raised. Mariano on the right side of your screen, right there, has flopped a straight flush in a 4-bet pot. $97,000 in the pot.
All right, so here's the first decision. Andy thinks about betting or checking here. Obviously, he tries to get the maximum amount of money in the middle, not really thinking about king 10 of diamonds or 10-8 of diamonds as like one of villain's holdings. I think king 10 of diamonds can be actually both in his villain's ranges. 10-8 of diamonds maybe only on the button. That is a hand that is not a good one for 4-betting really. He decides to go for the trap, maybe still face something like trap pocket jacks, pocket queens, maybe still some potential bluffs around that is a little tough to find here if you want to extract a lot of value, like an ace 10 of spades, ace king of spades, like a jack x, queen x. They won't do too much on that board. So again, I like a bet from Andy or a check raise. Both seems absolutely reasonable. Mariano now has the next decision against the check. He wants to build a pot obviously and goes for a tiny bet, 8,000 into 27, not even third pot. Give his opponent a little rope. Range wise, I'm not sure whether that makes too much sense because he's still facing a cold calling range from the big blind that then overcalled a 4-bet. This should be very pair heavy, so it can still be a set. It can be pocket 10s, it can be pocket 8s, pocket 7s, maybe with a diamond, even a flush, which would be best case. I prefer a bigger bet in that spot here, but I think it's absolutely reasonable to bet small as well. Andy has the next big decision. We need to build a pot and he wants to raise, and what's the correct sizing. He doesn't want to polarize to, I have the nut flush always here. He wants to maybe check raise a straight. If he ever has king 10 suited, he wants to check raise sets, maybe something like the pocket 10s with the 10 of diamonds as well. Something like that to just create a good value and bluffing range. So Andy decides to check raise to 35,000, a very reasonable sizing to not polarize too much here. And Mariano has the next decision to make. I think here in position, re-raising just doesn't make sense, even though there's lots of stack behind. You're absolutely invulnerable. If villain has queens or jacks, actually you want him to hit his boat. If he doesn't fill up, that's fine as well, and he will invest a lot of money and has a very, very tough decision against any further action from your side. So he makes the call. For my taste, there's a little less money in the middle just because of the check around on the flop. Maybe they can make up for this on the river.
Board does not pair. It is a fourth diamond out there.
The river, it feels like unfortunate for both of them, is the 6 of diamonds. 4 diamonds out there, so it's quite obvious that Andy won't get payoff from a trapped set too much anymore or something else. That's just like you have the diamond or you have the ace of diamonds or not. Yeah, now the question is, okay, Andy, what should he do? He has a value range and a bluffing range on the turn for the check raise. His bluffing range mainly should contain diamonds. So for him now it's almost impossible to have nothing. He check raises maybe a set, maybe a straight if he has it, maybe some diamonds as a bluff, maybe or definitely the nut flush, or like maybe even something like ace king with the ace of diamonds. So it's absolutely impossible that he has nothing. And for that situation, for my taste, he decides to go for a little too big of a bet. He bets 120k into 97k, really saying I have the ace of diamonds and nothing else, and putting villain in a spot where like he can just think through like, okay, actually, let's be honest, I'm folding the king of diamonds here because I don't find a single bluff. If he is crazy and check raises pocket 10s without diamonds like that, good for him. If he turns his set in a bluff now, good for him. It's just like, I will have the ace of diamonds quite a lot after that action. It's enough if I call that, right? If he blocks it, it's like, yeah, I won't have it. That's okay. I don't like the big bet size. Against a calling station who just calls diamond, obviously this is the best, but Mariano still has to think about how to get the money in the middle.
And Andy just bets $120,000. Mariano moves all in. Andy calls and shows him the ace.
Oh my God. Mariano.
$611,000 pot, and Mariano can't believe it. We've seen that before.
I don't know whether this is a little cut or he really like quickly announces the all-in. Actually, it looked like Andy freaking snap called his ace of diamonds for a 600k pot, which in my eyes is absolutely insane. Andy uses a huge bet on the river, polarizing to the ace of diamonds and only the ace of diamonds, and faces, I don't know whether that is cut or not, a relatively quick jam, which is representing nothing else but I beat the ace of diamonds, even how unlikely it is. In my eyes, this is absolutely incredible. If you really snap that off, I think the chance that someone of them misread the board is higher than that this played out like that. This is how you get to a 600k pot and 100, 200. I wouldn't consider that a cooler for this amount of money. It's absolutely an insane cooler, but not for 3,000 big blinds. I have a clear opinion why you shouldn't be snapping it off with your ace of diamonds here. Let me know what you think here, how you would have acted as Mariano. I hope you enjoyed that video as well. Make sure to subscribe to the Pokercode channel and check out all the other hands we have from the $1 million game.